Located in the heart of Southeast Asia, Vietnam is a dynamic economy with rapid growth. With a population of nearly 100 million, this is a market with great potential. Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, or Ho Chi Minh City, the nation's economic hub, is just 2 to 5 hour flight from Singapore, Bangkok, Beijing, Seoul, and Tokyo. In the past 3 decades, Vietnam has become a development success story. With a sustained economic growth rate of 6 to 7.5% over the past 2 decades, Vietnam has become a middle-income country within just a quarter of a century. So far, the size of the economy has reached $220 billion, bringing the per capita income to nearly $2,400. The first quarter of the Vietnamese economy this year saw exceptionally high growth of 7.38%, the highest in 10 years' time. According to the World Bank's report 2035, about 1/10 of Vietnam's population is the middle class. By 2035, half of the population will join the class, bringing Vietnam into the group of nations with the fastest middle-class growth in the world. In order to become a regional economic hub, as well as to participate in global production and value chains, Vietnam is focusing on 3 main pillars, namely institutional reform, infrastructure development, and high-quality human resources training. In terms of institutional reform, the private sector has been identified as an important driving force for economic development. The equitization of SOEs has been accelerated. The law on enterprises and law on investment have been amended to ensure equality, freedom, and openness. In 2017 alone, over 5,000 administrative procedures and business conditions have been reduced or simplified. The World Economic Forum has raised Vietnam's position on the Global Competitiveness Index to the 55th among 137 countries, 5 places higher than in 2016 and 20 places higher than that 5 years ago. Meanwhile, according to the World Bank Group Business Environment 2018 report, Vietnam's economy rose 14 grades, ranked the 68th among 190 economies. In terms of Global Innovation Index, the World Intellectual Property Organization ranks Vietnam the 47th out of 127 countries, up 12 places compared to 2016. Moody's and Fitch also upgraded Vietnam's credit rating from stable to positive. The reform has not stopped there, since the government is dropping half of the business conditions and list of items, products, and inspection procedures for export and import to bring the business environment in Vietnam to the leading position of ASEAN, meeting the standards of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Mentioning the infrastructure development pillar, Vietnam is currently implementing large-scale infrastructure projects. After the expansion of major international terminals, the construction of Long Thanh Airport near Ho Chi Minh City will soon be started to become the air traffic hub of Southeast Asia. Highways are also being built to connect industrial centers in the north, central, and southern regions, or from southern China to the ports in Haiphong and Quảng Ninh, as well as from Thailand, Laos to the ports in the central region and east-west economic corridor. For now, the construction of the coastal route from the north to the central region has just started, while the Trans-Vietnam Highway is also being implemented, so that in the next 3 years, 650 kilometers of highways will be completed, and by 2025, the highways will connect the two ends of the country. This is an opportunity for investors to invest in this field in the form of public-private partnership. In the human resource development pillar, Vietnam is strongly implementing educational reform from school to university education and vocational training to meet the target of 70% of the 50 million workers of the labor force will be trained. This is an important factor for Vietnam to shift from the advantages of low input cost to productivity and high quality. In recent years, many corporations like Samsung, LG, Canon, Intel, and Bosch have taken the advantages to set up world's largest factories in Vietnam. By 2017, Vietnam's export turnover reached $425 billion. Vietnam has participated in 12 free trade agreements and is determined to further integrate into the global production and value chains. Currently, Vietnam has concluded negotiations on the free trade agreements with the European Union, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, and is continuing negotiations on the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Vietnam is among the leading countries in the Asia-Pacific region in terms of joining in FTAs with 55 economies in all leading economic and political centers of the world. Remarkably, Vietnam is a member of the ASEAN Economic Community with 620 million people, the GDP of $2.5 billion, and in a region with dynamic development of the world. Thus, compared with other Asian countries, no country has a large export market with low tariffs like Vietnam. Foreign investors will directly benefit from investing in this economy. To date, there have been 26,400 projects with investors from 129 countries and territories, and the total registered capital was nearly $334 billion. In 2017 alone, an additional $37 billion investment has been registered in Vietnam, the highest level in 10 years. Domestically, a new record is set as 130,000 new enterprises have been established. With advantages Vietnam owns, investors should not miss the opportunity to invest in this country. Vietnam is one of the 20 most politically stable countries and is stepping up institutional reforms to become more competitive through the motto of a government of integrity, creativity, and action, serving the people and businesses. Vietnam is also a market with 70% of the population at the working age and an abundant human resource of 93 million people. Especially, this open economy is integrating deeply into the global production and value chains. Vietnam is deeply integrating and striving to improve its competitiveness in order to position itself in the global production and value chain and to become a regional economic hub, a gateway for nations that wish to access the sea, and also brings many essential commodities to the world. Never before has the Vietnamese economy been reforming so strongly to become more competitive and at the same time opening up so many great opportunities for investors. Therefore, it's time that investors should grab the opportunity, catch up with the trend, and shoulder with us on the road to prosperity. Vietnam is where you succeed.